TikTok and many other social media platforms have censored many voices, including mine, that are speaking out for men's rights in America and overall calling women out on all of the entitlement and bullshit that they have essentially brought into the world of dating and the modern culture. And I know for a fact that I'm not the only channel that's being censored by TikTok, so I've invited Dan, one of my most favorite influencers in this space, who hosts his own channel called Men Need to Be Heard, and asked him if this is something that is happening to him and why.
Ever since I started this channel, which is only a few weeks ago, and I know you've been running yours for quite some time. I know a few other, men in this industry as influencers and community leaders. One thing I've noticed right away is, besides the avalanche of women and simps, going after me, saying that I'm the worst human in the world because I dare to challenge women, I dare to tell men that they need to think for themselves, that, they should not tolerate the bullshit that women bring to the table now. And in my case, they should get the fuck out of America and move to whatever country that they please, where there's still respect for men, like where I live, where you can still have some traditional women. But what I see is, when I post my videos, a tremendous amount of censorship from the social media platforms, specifically TikTok. And, and let's just, I literally just looked up of some of the comments that I've made that were banned. Is, a woman would go on and on how men are shit and all, the classics. And I would post with no cursing and nothing at all. I would say, well, you know what? This is the reason why I left women like you and moved to Thailand, where I'm very happy. That comment would get flagged, it would get removed, then I would appeal to it, that you can, for some reason with TikTok, a human being would look at it and said, no, this is against our terms of use. I'll tell you what's not. Of course, the original video of talking shit about men, saying how men are useless and all of that stuff, the insults that I get, and once in a while for shits and giggles report that never get removed. Oh, your report is denied. That was perfectly fine to call you a piece of shit for speaking your voice. But most importantly, if you've ever been on TikTok, you know that anti-Semitism, racism, underage girls dancing in their underwear for older men, that's all A-okay with TikTok. But how dare you talk about, women taking responsibilities? Can you tell me a little bit about, how much of that you've experienced, and how we're supposed to talk about this if the platforms, the only chance we have to talk about it, are shutting us down, specifically TikTok?
Yeah, so in general, with the exception of Twitter, because I'll never call it X, all of the social media platforms throttle us, okay? TikTok is by far the worst. To the point, my friend, I'm looking at suing TikTok.
We should.
Because I've put enough evidence against them. So their argument is that they're a private company, they're not beholden to free speech. All while they're sitting in the U.S. Supreme Court, and I watched them, the testimony, arguing that they should not be banned because, hello, free speech, all right? But what is not protected is them applying their terms of service, TOS is known, in a gender discriminatory way. And I've got proof.
Just we all do.
Yep.
We all do.
So I am in the process of putting a lawsuit together against them. I'm going to go after them. And it's going to cost a lot of money. I don't care, right? So, because it speaks to the greater problem. So what's happening with TikTok? I am on TikTok. My name is Men Need to Be Heard 3. Why? Because 0, 1, and 2 got banned. Okay. 2 actually came back. It's TOO, by the way, not the number 2. It got banned on Christmas Eve of 2022 in the middle of the night. There's not a day that goes by, my friend, that I don't have a video taken down. The first thing I do every single morning is I go on TikTok and appeal whatever video they went after. And it's not always TikTok. So there's what you may not know, I don't know, but your audience probably doesn't, is that there are whole groups of women that have Discord servers and private Facebook groups where they organize mass reports. We've infiltrated one of them. Okay. So in your case, what they'll do is they don't like what you're saying. So they'll get 5 or 10 of them, usually in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. It's almost regular. You start seeing it, right? Because I've stayed up at times to watch it, and it's right around that time, 2 to 3 a.m. They all have 50 different accounts. They'll do what's known as a mass report attack. And this is primarily on TikTok, although you'll see it on Insta also. And they'll try and get your video and your account taken down. And it's happened to me. It's happened to female creators that talk about men's issues, okay? It is a really bad problem. And again,
let me interrupt you here. I mean, first of all, that's a horrible rule no matter how you moderate, what community you moderate, illegal, right? But at the same time, these are the reports that at some point are getting looked at by real humans, and TikTok and agree. Like, one thing is a bunch of angry feminists got together. I understand it. They have the right. They can report whatever they want. But the thing is there's somebody at TikTok sitting there and being instructed to say, yes, this man is holding women responsible. Let's ban him. Just like, and when we report, let's say, women completely out of line, definitely against her, they go like every time I report somebody, calling me a name, being sexist towards men, they keep that post every time. I lose my reports almost every time with TikTok. So it's not the mass reporting problem. It's TikTok's essential behind the closed doors policy to not give us the voice.
Well, that's why the mass reporting works. And they know that. They've learned, okay, if we all gang together, there's a certain number you have to hit, and that'll take the video down, right? Or the account down. So that's why they do that. To your point, though, it's clearly, this is my lawsuit, it is clearly guidelines that are being given to these people to say you can allow women to, there's nudity from women is allowed. I've seen it, okay? I've reported it. In a couple of cases, I was worried they were underage, and I reported it. Nope, it came back not a violation. I'm like, you got it.
Not only that, they will sell you little roses to give to those underage girls. Well, yeah. As they will take money from you.
In those cases, I reported both those videos. I have friends in the Department of Justice because it's trafficking. Okay,
it is. Yeah,
and they took it from there. Those videos were ultimately taken down, but it took them to do it. Right. I have no doubt that they got involved. But setting that aside, right, I've seen actual threats of violence made against me. Death threats. Reported those videos. Not taken down.
Yeah.
It's now, on the other hand, if you say anything, the most innocuous things, I'll get taken down. I have had videos taken down that are on every other platform but TikTok with no problems. But TikTok will take them down.
Yeah, and that's a low bar, by the way. It's a low bar.
Well, it's also because they got mass reported. I know how to play the game, right? And this is something that other creators and we used to have our own Discord group. And we'd be like, all right, watch out for this account because it's a mass report account. You start identifying them. You kind of figure them out, right? They start showing up in your comments because they're too stupid to hide themselves. And they're arrogant. And you got to remember, when you see somebody that posts, if you see 20 or 30 comments and they're all agreeing with each other, it's probably one person doing it with 50 different accounts. But setting all that aside, there is a clear, unequivocal plan by TikTok to take us down without question in my mind, to the point I'm looking at suing them for it.
So here's a big question for you, though. Why? I mean, why does TikTok care about men's rights and modern dating? I feel like there's so many other things that they can fix and manipulate. Why us? And what is the reason behind that?
We're going to get into speculation and conspiracy theory here, because it's all speculation and conspiracy theory. Who owns TikTok?
Well, for now, it's ByteDance from China.
Chinese government, essentially, right?
Right.
What's the best way to destroy a country? Get men and women fighting against it, or get people fighting against each other. That's right. That's my opinion.
I feel like they can do that in so many other ways.
Well, but this is easy for them to do, right? Is if they get men and women hating each other, the U.S. is weakened. and all other Western countries, by the way, right? That's part of it.
And before you continue, now you got me brain thinking, because I am here on the two Chinese apps also owned by Chinese government, but it's easier to download them here and more usage and stuff like that. One is a Red Note and another one is Lemonade. Lemonade, I believe, is also, you know. Yeah. So, you know, they are definitely owned by Chinese government, and that's where a lot of people jumped to when they thought that that TikTok was being closed down. And I see the same pattern with Red Note, where I can post a video and it will immediately go under the review, and when it gets out of the review, it gets 0 views no matter what happens, right? And number 2 is like Lemonade. You know, I've posted now 50 videos on Lemonade, and it has 6 subscribers. You know, where some other, I know my channel is young, but still, you know, even Clapper, I have over 1,000 subscribers now, and Clapper is not as big as Lemonade. So I definitely see the Chinese companies going after it much harder.
Yeah, they when we were all talking about the TikTok ban, which, by the way, they're only a couple of weeks from their next ban. Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, but they're getting banned for the wrong thing, right? They're getting banned on technicality. I think they should be getting banned for sexism, for example. You know.
Well, I think, well, that's all. We could do a whole show on that, because I have actually done shows on that. But you know, like I went on Clapper for a while, and I saw the same thing you did. Right? It was almost immediate, and I dumped it because
Lemonade probably.
No, I was on Clapper. I have never been on Lemonade. I looked at, was it Red Note is the other one?
Red Note, yeah. Clapper's worked okay for me, but I don't think it's Chinese owned.
Clapper, I had, like, mind you, the very same videos that get tens or hundreds of thousands of views on all the other social media, I might get 500 views on Clapper. They throttled the shit out of me. Far worse than anybody else.
Oh, really? Wow.
Clapper was ridiculous.
I had much better luck with them.
I had 2 or 3 guys say, you got to get on Clapper. And I was on it for 5-6 months. This wasn't like get on for a couple of weeks. The exact same videos went nowhere.
Oh.
But so I think part of it is the Chinese government. This is conspiracy theory. We got to say this for YouTube's algorithm, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I also think, by the way, there's a heavy feminist bias, right? Keep in mind, where are most of the social medias? San Francisco area, right? Far left, woke, all that. Very feminist. And that percolates down. And that's the other side of it. I think that's as much, probably more, than the fact that the Chinese own it. And it hurts women. This is the thing, Alex. It hurts women more than it hurts men.
Explain why?
Sure. Because it's giving them a distorted view. It goes back to everything we've already talked about, right? It's teaching women to look down on men, to view them as not even human. And you hear it in their videos. Videos by the millions get out there. They brag about trashing men, hurting them in divorce, physically hurting them. There's how many videos have you seen of women assaulting men, and it's allowed? So what does that do?
Well, there's a literally bunch of channels that are revolves in actual physical assault on a man. That's their entire theme. Millions of subscribers.
So all you need is one of those women to come at a guy like me, and I'll lay her right out. Now, I'm not going to go attack her, but I'm not going to sit and let her beat me. Not happening, right? So that's an example of how it hurts women, because they get this mindset, this delusional mindset that, well, if, Drew the Buffalo, to use a name, says it's okay to go out and smack a man in the face, nothing's going to happen, and a man hits her back, that woman's lost, because trust me, if he hits her back, she's going to get laid out, right? That's what an example, that's an extreme example of what I'm talking about. And I don't advocate violence at all. Don't get me wrong. But
I do advocate self-defense. And I got to tell you, this is one of many perks here in, other countries pretty much around the world where, there's no bullshit like that. There is such thing as self-defense and, equal rights, equal lefts. Yeah, I also don't advocate violence against women or anybody, but I also advocate absolute self-defense, which I think men are entitled to.
I completely agree with you on that. And that's where, again, that's how it hurts women, right? It also hurts in the sense that it's what's causing men to walk away. Men are seeing these videos. This is the thing women don't get, and I've been talking about it constantly lately, is there's a huge group of guys that literally laugh at those videos, including myself, that are putting men down. And I'm like, ladies, and this is what I've been doing a lot of videos on, do you not realize what you're doing? Your flex ain't flexing. You're hurting yourselves because all you're doing is showing men how toxic you are. And no man's ever going to want that, right? Men want peace. They want acknowledgement. They want appreciation. They do not want a woman who's going to put them down. And if she's making videos bragging about how she trashed the guy that she just went on a date with, good luck, buddy. You're never going to find a man, ever. That's what I'm talking about, how it hurts women, right? They are sinking their own ship.
Now, I do have to say that I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area. I worked for Silicon Valley companies like Netscape, AOL, Oracle, and all of those others. And I can absolutely attest to the fact that, the way HR departments run with what now is called woke. And I agree with you. This is definitely coming from that, right? Because they'll never get any lashback, if they'll ban us, if they'll remove our comments. But if they do it the other way, of course they'll get a lot of complaints. And I guess this is where we can do something, right? Men should also organize. We should be able to do that, and at some point start punishing TikTok in many different ways. There's just so many, from just not ever logging in, to going after the sponsors that advertise on TikTok, to organize, like I would go all the way to organize actual protests around the families of executives who run the TikTok's, at least censorship department, right? So let's mess with their, family lives once in a while too.
Yeah. So let me talk about that a little bit, because this is something I've been talking with some people behind the scenes about a lot, right? I call it Bud Lighting, right? I've turned it into a verb, okay?
Right.
This is something I've been saying we've needed to do for 30 years. I've been an advocate for men and boys issues for 30 years. Women own us, because they will do exactly what you're talking about, right? And this just happened, by the way. So in one of the states, a bill came up for shared parenting. A bill also came up about paternity fraud. The women organized en masse and went after those bills like that. It wasn't even hard for them to do it. Guys won't do it, right? I talk about all the time. If I had $1 per year, $1 from every single father in the U.S., I would have shared parenting in all 50 states in 5 to 10 years. $1, Alex. I can't even get guys to do that.
Wow.
Not $1 a week, not $1 a day, not $1 a month, $1 a year. We can't get them to do it. Guys will not. They'll piss and moan and cry and whine and simp and every other verb you want to use on the couch. They'll spend hours on Facebook writing, oh, it's unfair. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Okay, dude, here's what I need from you. Oh, I can't do that. I'm too busy working. I don't have any money. Really? You want me to spend all my money? I spend thousands of dollars a year advocating on behalf of men and boys. It's not going to help me. See, now you're getting me fired up. This is my passion, right?
Oh, you should be. And, but this is, I think,
pisses me off, Alex. It pisses me off because we are our own worst enemies.
Yes. And this comes back to, I don't, as much as I hate what's happening with dating and women's entitlement and all that bullshit and feminism, I always said this: none of this would have happened if men did not allow it. Men need to stand up for themselves, which is really hard to do right now. When I talk to men, I don't know about what your experience is, but when I talk about men and I say, hey guys, you see what's happening? You see what you're doing? If you just stop doing this, I forget about being proactive, if you just stop doing this shit, we will already all going to be better off, including you, stupid little shit, right? And they go like, nah. So I think, and this is the conversation, right? And this is the conversation we had in another video that we played earlier. is that I just don't think enough men are woken up to what's happening to them, whether it's about men's rights or dating or whatever, the laws. And before they can start, walking away or fighting against this or standing up to women or standing up to TikTok censoring us, they need to realize what is happening. And I think a lot of them just don't.
It's now, not to get too far in the weeds, but some of it's biological. Men are programmed to be loners for things, right? We go out on the hunt by ourselves, as opposed to women. They all hunt. They all gathered the berries by them, going back literally a million years. Okay. Setting all that aside. The issue is you've got a huge group of men, you call them simps, right? Who will side with the women. Oh, we gotta give in to them, give them whatever they want, make them happy. There's a huge number of those. And they're the ones that are most vocal, to be honest with you. I have so many of them come at me. How dare you hold women accountable? Don't you know? That's why you're alone. Dude, I'm happily married. You're the one that's sitting home alone. What the are you talking about? I'm the one meeting with I have other ones. You need to do more. I make a video every freaking day. I spend 8 to 10 hours a day doing this shit, right? I talk with at least 2 to 3 politicians every single week at all levels of the U.S. government, federal, state, and local. I spend thousands and thousands of my own dollars. None of this is going to benefit me. I do it for the younger kids, right? I do it for the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, so that they can have a better life. And I catch so much shit from other men. Now, let me say this. I get a ton of support also. And it's probably 85, 90% supportive. But that freaking 10%, oh, they piss me off. And they are the problem.
So what do we do about TikTok and other platforms? But like I said, I think TikTok is the worst. What do we do with TikTok?
So that's my answer. So, the problem is it's going to take millions of dollars to sue them. You can try and get a lawyer to take it on, and I'm talking to some, with the potential that if they win the suit, it's not an easy suit to win, by the way. It's going to be in court for decades, all right? But it is winnable because there is I have clear evidence. I have over 100 examples, just myself. And if I put the word out, someone like yourself, how many do you have, right? And there's other creators in the men's space. There's dozens I could get. The suit will be won. That's the only way we're going to stop TikTok because they're not afraid of us. Oh, the men are going to boycott TikTok. Really? They ain't going to do that. And
they're not going to do that.
You saw, though, what happened with Bud Light, right? Whatever you think about transgender is irrelevant. We're looking at it as a case study. It pissed off enough men. You messed with our beer. That's what they care about. They don't care about losing their kids. They don't care about some judge ripping their kids away from them. They care about their beer. When that all went down, I was so pissed off, Alex. I'm like, This is what you're going to stand your ground on. A beer. Really?
Yeah.
But it was instant. It was instant. When men finally said, I'm done and I'm not going to tolerate it, within weeks, Budweiser caved. Within days, actually. But
that's a good, so this is a good example that, yes, suing TikTok is great, and I think we should do that, but just for the sake of exposing it. But I think it's going to all come down to the sponsors, right? This has been done a million times. Agree. This is how women do it, right? Go after the sponsor saying, listen, if you're going to sponsor TikTok from now on, we're just not going to buy your product. As a matter of fact, we're going to promote a product that sponsors, let's say, X. I don't like Elon Musk, but I like the fact that I can actually talk about men's issues on X, and I'm going to give them credit where the credit is due. So really, to me, we need to pick 5 sponsors, 5 to 10 of their biggest sponsors, and just, again, we don't even need that big of numbers. We can just don't buy their product for 1 month, right? And I think that's going to be,
But men won't do it, Alex. Here's the thing, right? They'll do it when it's their beer. But you have to understand, and again, I'm talking US, so I can't speak to Thailand or other countries, but in the US, women control 80% of the spending and have for decades. And sponsors know that, right? So it's not going to be, it can't be just men that got to get behind this. It's got to be women as well. And they did in the Bud Light case, right? If we can get women on our side, and there are a lot of, you have to understand something. What many guys don't know is that the majority of women support us. They won't say it, but they do support us. It is a very small percentage, about 10 or 15, but they're the ones that control the narrative, that hate men. They're the ones who control the narrative. And I keep saying it. You've seen my videos, right? I'm constantly talking about that. Why, ladies, do you let these other women speak for you? It's the same thing with purchasing power. So if we had, Acme Widgets puts out a commercial making men look bad, and we all came together and, to your point, said for the month of April in 2025, no one is buying Acme Widgets, it would change like that. Men won't do it. Men will not do it. Locally where I am now, I'm in a huge fight over domestic violence because there is an organization that has gone to the county, city, and state looking for money to ensure that they can provide 50 women a day with services. And my argument is, what about men? Oh, we'll help men. Really? Because that's not what your thing is saying in your proposal. It says 50 women, not 50 people. I'm getting stonewalled, as I knew I would. I want to put a billboard up. It will cost me $1,500. Guess how much money I've gotten for that?
Do tell.
0.
Oh, wow.
Not one
that's disappointing.
Man locally is willing to step up. Not one. Now, can I fund it? Sure. I more than enough money to do it. But it's the principle. Why the F should I do it then? Right? And this is why so many men you see get into the men's space and start fighting for issues and then leave. Right?
It's not easy. It's not easy, man. I had to stop my other channel, as you know, because I knew all of my sponsors would leave, whoever was still sticking around, that if I pick up this cause, I can't do business anywhere else that's, essentially, camera facing. So, all right.
How sad is that? How sad is that, right? That you have to give up that channel simply because you're advocating on behalf of men and boys. Right? That makes you a pariah socially. And it's the same for me, by the way, right? Like we were out to dinner with another couple and the woman, we had just met her, right? And she's like, well, what do you do for a living? And I just simply said, I'm a content creator. Left it at that because I'm semi-retired. This is all I do, right? Well, what do you do? Well, I do content about men's and boys' issues. And immediately the look on her face said it all.
I know that look.
What are you, why do you, and I wanted to blow, I couldn't because the person she was with, they just started dating and I didn't want to ruin it for him. If it had been her and me, I would have blown her up. I would have said to her, you just made a face because I speak out on behalf of men and boys. Why do you hate men and boys so much? Do you not think men's mental health and them unaliving themselves is worthy of caring or concern of being spoken about? Do you think men being beaten by their wives aren't worthy of it? Because clearly you do, because of your face. Right? And I get in their face and do that to them. That's why they hate me so much. Because I will hold them accountable. And I know you do as well. And that's what, if I say anything to your viewers, that's what we all need to do. Because until we start speaking up as one voice, sharing our stories, what we've been through, the hell many of us have been, nothing's going to change. That's how we change it.
I will absolutely support the lawsuit against TikTok and any other platform that continues to censor men's voices, speaking out for men's rights and against all of the bullshit that modern women have brought into Western cultures. But of course, you watching this also need to get off your ass and participate, because we can only do it together. And one of the other ways, as we just discussed, is going after TikTok's sponsors to let them know that we will not tolerate their sponsorship of a platform that silences men's voices. Now, if you want to do what I did and just never having to deal with this bullshit ever again, and move to another country where men's voices are heard, where men still have respect from the society, and if you just want to be able to date traditional women again, go to the millionmanproject.com, where I have outlined every single step of the way where you can accomplish just that. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Dan's channel. It's called Men Need to Be Heard, and I put a link to it in the description of this video.